Now, I did not think I was going to get into the school. The first semester of my freshman year, my grades were booty. So this video is not going to be fancy at all in the slightest. So today we will be talking about my stats of how I got into NYU Shanghai. So if you didn't know, if you came from my TikTok, I went semi-viral, because I posted that I got into NYU Shanghai, and I started posting about like my journey and things like that and how, I'm getting there. So let's start with the video. One, I'm just going to say how I applied for NYU first, at least Shanghai, and then I'll get into the international component of everything else. So for one, I applied through Common App. And if you don't know what Common App is and you're an international student, at least when it comes to the United States, I'm in the United States, we use Common App. So it's basically just a program in which you can apply for several colleges at once. It makes it a lot easier. That's debatable, but it's supposed to make it a lot easier to apply, especially if you're applying for multiple schools. So I started through the Common application. You just click NYU, you put it in the school code or the name of the school, York University, and on the application it asks you which campus you want to stay on or go to. So they had Shanghai, Abu Dhabi, and New York. I had no idea at the time that New York University had 2 other campuses to choose from. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, Shanghai. Now, I did not think I was going to get into the school. I just want to start there. I did not apply to school thinking, oh my gosh, this is the place I'm going to go. And da-da-da-da. Bro, I applied to 40 schools, and I applied to a bunch of quote unquote REACH schools. I don't believe in that, or what a REACH, I don't believe in REACH schools, if you know what I'm saying, but that's the only way that I can get that point across. So it was technically a REACH school for me. And I applied. And I picked the Shanghai campus because I was like, oh, how cool would that be? Just what if, So that's how I applied. Some of the things that you need, if you're using the Common application, some things that you're going to need, of course, letters of recommendation, an essay, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. Just prepare yourself. If you're applying for multiple schools doing the Common application, be prepared to write a bunch of essays, like a bunch. And I'm not talking just 2 or 3. I'm talking 7 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Like if you're applying for a lot of schools, because the Common application has one big application that kind of transfers to every school, but each individual school also has separate essays or prompts as well. For the most part, most of them do. I only had one school that didn't have it, and that was LSU, I think. So be prepared for that. So that's how I applied. If you're somebody that's looking to go to an international school in the United States, and that's one way that you could do it. There are plenty of American schools that have campuses in other countries. So for example, Duke-Kushan, that's a thing. So Duke and Duke-Kushan are 2 separate schools. Well, it's the same, but they're also 2 separate institutions. So Duke-Kushan is also in China, as well as NYU Shanghai. And I know there's other schools as well that have campuses like this, where it's not just like, oh, I'm studying abroad for a semester. No, everything is done. All 4 years is spent at that institution. So that. Secondly, you could also apply just internationally in general. For example, using so I know like Oxford, which is in the UK, has a separate, like the UK, they have their own separate version of what Common App is. I forget what it's called, and you would apply via that through their times and whatever, and you could just do it that way. I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate the process, but yeah, just, look those things up. Those are 2 ways that I know you can do it, at least school-wise, or if you want to go I wouldn't say the hard way, but this is a very different route. You can immigrate to that country, okay, and apply for the schools while you're there. But that's still the second option that I chose. So boom, that's how you can apply to other places. I suggest doing more research though. I suggest doing my research off of the things that I said. My stats. Everybody wants to know my stats. So I posted a little sneak peek of what my stats were on TikTok, but I'm going to go more in depth in this YouTube video about my stats and everything that I needed to get in. So one thing I left out of my TikTok that I forgot about is that I'm a part of the IB program, and that probably held a lot of weight in my application to make me a competitive applicant, because I did not submit any SAT or ACT scores. I'm in the IB program. That's probably why. And you're probably wondering, what is IB program? So if you just somehow never heard of it, which there's plenty of people, think of high school acceleration programs like AP Capstone, the Cambridge diploma, things, dual enrollment, early college, those things. IB is a high school acceleration program as well. The difference, though, is that IB is worldwide. So every country, not every country, but most countries have it. Most cities have it. And it's worldwide. It's a worldwide curriculum, and we all learn the same thing. Now, the way it may be taught are in different ways. There's different classes you can choose from. So some schools in certain cities, or some schools in certain districts or provinces or places, just worldwide, may teach it or have certain classes available due to the availability of the teachers and the school resources. But essentially, it's the same curriculum, if you can even call it that, because the IB curriculum is very... it's a lot. It's hard to describe. It's very flexible. So IB is known as the hardest high school acceleration program in the world, as I know. I think it is. Yeah. So it's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult. And that, yeah, so that's probably why I got in. Well, not why, but a big portion of why I got in, because that's something that translates. Number two, the other stats, let's talk extracurriculars. I'm going to get into extracurriculars a little early in this. Most people end with extracurriculars, but I'm gonna do it in the beginning because I had a lot. And then I also had a 4.1, 4.2 GPA unweighted, and weighted I have a 3.5, 3.4, 3.5, somewhere in that nature. I don't remember the exact number, but I will also would like to mention that my class rank is not number 9 out of 300. I think it's about 300. So it wasn't valedictorian, wasn't salutatorian, but my class rank was pretty high. I'm top 10. So that does make sense. And I also won, I forgot, Student of the Year. So that's those, when we get to awards, the Miss Pageant Winner Award of my school year. I keep doxing myself by accident. Or mentioning my school name. But yeah, so I won the Miss title of my school year. I also won Best Talent, Best Interview, and Most Dedicated. And I also did... I did another pageant in my school. It's not in my school, but like my school, like in my city, that was a lot bigger with other schools, and I won second runner-up and Best Talented. So most talented, I won that as well. And then, yeah, I did. Those are awards I got. And then, of course, I won Student of the Year my senior year. This was this year. I just forgot it as I was talking about the other things. Oh, right. I've been singing. So when we talk about extracurriculars as well, I've been singing for 10 years. I sing opera. Yeah. But no, I sing classical music, and I've been training in opera for a while, opera studies, operatic studies, all that great stuff. So yeah, that's also a part of something that I've been doing. I wouldn't call it necessarily a passion project, but it is something that I've been working on. So when you see best, oh, she won most talented, best talented, those were the things. Like, I talk about my passion for music a lot, and I also play the flute. Oh, the essay. So what did I write for my essay for NYU's? I think I want to make the essays a separate video, but I'm going to lightly touch on it here. So what I wrote in my, I think what they most saw was the Common App essays. This is what I'm saying. Common App has its own essay, and then NYU had its other ones. So in my main essay, I just talked about almost... it was I was just talking about a time that, gave me a lot of hardship or trouble, or where I had to struggle and overcome something. And I talked about almost failing the 9th grade, because I almost did. Because I almost failed a class that you needed for graduation. So that was geometry. And I talked about my struggles within that and how I overcame that, what I did, the steps, and all that great stuff. And then in my supplemental essay, I made it a why not me? That was what it's called. So you can imagine what I said. So why should you pick me out of all the other students that go to this institution or that are applying to these institutions? And for the NYU specific essay, they had two. It was the MLK essay, and there was another one. They were how do you intend to be a bridge builder at NYU or NYU Shanghai. So what they mean by bridge builder, the context is like there's a bunch of cultures, different values, you know, different ethnicities, different things at NYU, and how do you intend to, you know, be a bridge to build between those cultures. So I talked about being a multicultural club. I talked about going to a community. I live in a minority community, so I go to a minority school, and a lot of people are either African American, or they're Hispanic, or they're Latino, they're Russian. There's a lot of different ethnicities, a lot of different races at my school. So I talked about that. I'm being so brief right now because it's actually a lot what I spoke about. So I'll make a separate video on what I did for my essays and my tips for essays. But yeah, I think those are all the things that I need to mention about getting into NYU Shanghai and my stats. Tips that I would give anybody. I don't have any. Actually, I don't, because I don't even know how I got it. Let me stop saying that. But my tips, if I were to give anybody tips on just getting into any top school or top school in the country, top school in the world, be yourself. And I'm not going to say just be yourself, because I'm going to add some more to that. When I say be yourself, I mean, when you write that essay, you write something that's so unique to you. You describe those situations specifically, how you handled it, what you learned from it, how that school will benefit from having you on that campus. You want to make yourself seem like the prize, because you are the prize. They would be lucky to have you on that institution. So now you need to, on the institution's campus. So now you have to convey that through your academics. I will also say, when it comes to like weaknesses in your application, for example, I did not have the best grades my first semester of my freshman year. My grades were booty. But I did not let that, I use that as a strength rather than a weakness. So I switched that into say, I've been at the highest of my class, I've been at the top of my class, and I've been at the bottom of my class. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to excel, and I know the difference. And I talked about that in my essay. I made that a strength of my essay, and I made that a strength in my application rather than a weakness. So wherever there is some weakness in your application, don't just ignore it. Okay, make it a part of your why, your mission, your statement, like how you want. That's what's going to make you unique. So be unique, be yourself, and being yourself is already unique, because there's nobody else like you. So let's get to the next part of the video and how I'm going to get there. So NYU's campus, at least in Shanghai, is beautiful. It's beautiful, baby. So how am I going to get on that campus? So of course you need a visa, and the visa is about $100 and something, like $180. But it's easier to get your visa than it is to get your passport in the United States. So you have to get your passport, you have to get your visa, and yeah, you have to do those things to get in or whatever. So I'm going through that process currently, but they also guide you through the visa process. Don't feel like you're going to be doing it alone, because sometime in like June, that's when they start, notifying students of the things they need to do and how they're going to get there and things like that. That's how they're going to do it. So I'm going to end the video here, because I feel like that was a lot that we just spoke about. I will be talking about more things when it comes to dorms, when it comes to student life, when it comes to traveling, getting on campus, all that other stuff. I am going to talk about that some more. I will. Okay, just not right now. This video was just to introduce, like, hey, I got in. Am I committing? Yes, I'm committing. And those are all the things that I wanted to talk about that somebody asked me to, common questions that people had. So we'll get to all that other stuff later as the process gets along. Expect those videos in the next upcoming weeks. So yeah, I'm going to try and post more consistently. So stay tuned for, what's coming next.